All right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Mike Green, and I'm your co-host today. You're here, and we want to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Rufus Glasper, who's going to speak specifically on you are the key to success and unlock your future. And I wanted to make sure that I want to make sure that I went over a few things like housekeeping before we go. First is that there are a few rules and for the special collection of the Living Library rules. It's forbidden to cause damage to the living books or hurt the book's dignity or humanity in any way. Please, each reader is responsible for preserving the condition of the book. The reader accepts the fact that the book may quit the conversation if the book feels a reader is being disrespectful or inappropriate in any way. The reader agrees to participate in follow-up surveys or other means of contact regarding this learning experience. And of course, those are our rules for the virtual living library. Okay, so we're gonna, Dr. Glasper has agreed to take questions throughout the session. And so if you have any questions, please share them in the chat and I'll help him see what those questions are and help him answer them if he needs to. Please, all of the attendees, mute your microphone so that we don't have any background noise. And then I want to take a couple minutes here to read the bio of Dr. Glasper. Rufus Glasper is the president and CEO of the League for Innovation in the Community College, an international nonprofit organization with a mission to cultivate innovation in the community college environment and to make a positive difference for students and communities. Dr. Glasper, Chancellor Emeritus of the Maricopa Community Colleges, served as the Chancellor from 2003 through 2016 and held district leadership positions for 3 decades. Dr. Glasper earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from Luther College, a master's and advanced degrees in school business administration from Northern Illinois University, and received his doctorate of philosophy degree in higher education finance from the University of Arizona. Again, so how about a warm welcome for Dr. Glasper, and he's going to be able to talk to us this morning. And thanks for being here, everybody. You're on, Dr. Glasper.
Thank you very much, Mike. Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Oh, I see some familiar faces out there. Let me begin with a quote. All education is political. Teaching is never a neutral act. This is a quote from Paulo Freire in a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And I wanted to start with this particular quote because it is fitting for the environment that we are in today as we begin to talk about education, as we see the political environment all around us. And we see the levels of engagement as it relates to the whole notion of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And when I think of my career in terms of moving through the number of years, the title that I chose is You Are the Key to Your Success, Unlock Your Future. I took that title because of what is happening now. And thinking about my journey. And my journey, quite frankly, has been in the neighborhood of about 45 years. When I think about the notion that education is political, I think about the professors that I've had along the way and how they have encouraged my journey, questioned my journey, and in some ways even impeded my journey in terms of what I thought was important. We're hearing a lot today from individuals as to, even as employees, how do we address the notion of race? Where do you come from? Where do you look? What do you look like? What's the first perception that you see when someone talks to you? And if you're looking at the notion of equity, diversity, and inclusion, you have different definitions and different biases. And I start the conversation with this in mind. When I graduated from, prior to graduating from Luther College, in Iowa. I came from the Chicago area and went to a small college in Iowa and was looking to focus in business. And along my journey, I was questioned about the topics I wanted to write about. One was Booker T. Washington's economic aspects on financing Tuskegee Institute, and was told that that was not a good topic. And mind you, 99% of the professors that we had at that small university, at that small college, were not professors of color. I believe that I got one of the best educations that you could possibly have. I believe that they challenged me along the way to think differently. They challenged me along the way to take my jobs professionally. But when I graduated, I wanted to move into business education and also teach and coach. And I asked for a copy of my transcript from my advisor. This is the same advisor who did not like my topic. And my advisor said that I am glad that Rufus has decided to teach in the inner city schools of Chicago because I doubt if he would never ever make it in this highly competitive business world. Think about that coming out of college and believing that your advisor, your instructor, and others are trying to support you in the best ways possible. That decision or decision I made some 45 years ago put me on a path of, to date, I have not taught in the high school that I graduated from. I did not coach, but I decided to take a pivot and move on the business side of the house. And what Mike did not share with you is along that journey, I picked up a few more letters. I am a certified public accountant. I am a certified global management accountant. I have served on many different roles with the American Institute for CPA. I am the first and the only African American to chair the Arizona CPA Society. I have been involved in public accounting now for about 35 years and was the chief financial officer at the Maricopa system before becoming the chancellor of the system. And I want you to think about this when you have moved through your journey and you're driven by a notion that you cannot succeed by the background of which you came out of the city of Chicago. I was questioned that maybe what I was taught in my public school experience was not equivalent to the other students. I was driven out of I wouldn't call it a passion, I was driven out of anger for a number of years. And when I took the role to continue in education and eventually to apply for and assume the role of the chancellor of the Maricopa system, and I stay involved in education today, I did that because I wanted to be in a position to help mold and support the faculty and staff around the notion of a student is a student. Education should not be political, and it should be a right, and that we need to support individuals in achieving as much of what they think they're capable of or more, hopefully more, and to be enjoyed and supported for what they do. I was just recently asked to write a foreword for a book, and the title is Anti-Racism Pedagogy. And this is pedagogy that is being used in community colleges and universities across the country. And I was asked to write that, and one of the Maricopa faculty are part of the group that helped to write the draft. It's a couple of community college faculty from across the country and some additional faculty. And the foreword allowed me to kind of step back. And when I stepped back and said that 45 years has gone by and doesn't look like much has changed. So what do we do now? How do we engage those that are standing before us and trying to educate us about the notion of leadership, fellowship, supporting students, working with faculty and staff? When I became the chancellor of the Maricopa system, I had 3 pillars. And the 3 pillars that I was asked to individuals to judge me on were inclusiveness, engagement, and respect. And these are pillars that were expected with the college community as well as the external community, and were expectations of me in my operation. That I would include you, engage you, and respect your decisions relative to what goes on in our communities and how our community colleges can support you, and that you would be engaged in conversations that would also help me frame my decision. But ultimately, the decision as the CEO rests with me as the chancellor. One of the things along my journey that happened, and it happened very soon in my assumption to the role of chancellor, is that I was addressed and introduced on many occasions as, "Hello, this is Rufus Glasper. I would like for you to meet our African American chancellor." Think about that introduction. I would love to be and have continued to promote myself as Rufus Glasper, the Chancellor Emeritus of the Maricopa system, or the Chancellor of the system, or the CFO of the system. And by the way, you might want to look and know that he is African American, but that does not define who he is or what he does or how you should measure him. The picture that you saw on the screen earlier, and I thought about showing up today with a tie on. And one of the reasons that I would do that is because professional image, first image, is how you are measured when people first see you. If you do not look professional, if you do not talk professional, if you cannot walk the talk, then they will begin to judge you regardless of what you do. And when you dress differently, when you think about what has happened at the national level from presidents to presidents' spouses and others, the shoes that they wear, the ties that they wear, the decisions that they make, you are judged for many reasons. So today, what I'd like to just share with you is that you are the key to your success, but you have to manage what you do. You have to think about the roles that you want to play as you move along this journey. And it may be leadership, but I think one of the more important ones as well is fellowship. Can you follow someone who is different than you are? Can you learn from them? Can you take advice? Can you be a mentor to others that are different from you? Can you unlock your own future by being proactive and engaging? Can you be persistent? Can you be accountable for your actions or lack thereof? I see on the screen and a couple of folks who will be addressing you today. When I was the vice chancellor, and part of what I did was a ritual, and it was purely about self-preservation. And it was called a primal scream. I would come out of the chancellor's office on occasion and just scream. And people who were in the office knew that I would scream. And I started that when I was an associate vice chancellor and as a vice chancellor. And they would say, "Oh, it's just the chancellor, and he's just letting you know that he's here." But that primal scream allowed me to just share some expressions, because the more you move up on the ladder, I would agree that educational roles are political. Education is political, but we need to figure out ways to balance it. When you move up in an organization, you have to recognize that anything you say and anything you do will be questioned. And if you ever walk in a room and they say that this is off the record, do not believe it. Do not believe it. So whenever you say something, believe that somewhere, somehow, especially in this digital environment, whatever you say may come back and bite you. And the question is, can you survive and can you thrive? The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King stated, the great challenge is to prepare ourselves to enter the doors of opportunity. And if we take those opportunistic moves, we need to be prepared to do so. I ask you, can you achieve your big goal? And can you alter your big goal? Can you influence or take advice from others that may help you to be successful? Do you believe that taking this goal is worth the risk? Because every time you adventure and you move, that there is an element of risk. And for you, what does that mean in terms of that level of risk to you individually, or if you have a family, or collectively, the extent of your tenure? So much is happening right now. And let me just give you one statistic, and that's on community college leadership. When I took over in the role of chancellor in 2003, in the year 2000, there was a study. Community college leadership positions for individuals in the CEO roles were in those roles from anywhere from 13 to 15 to 17 years. By the year 2010, that number had dropped to 10 years on average across the US. By the year 2016, that number had dropped to 2.8 on average across the country. 3.2 in the state of California, so they stayed a few months longer. We need to ask ourselves the question, what are we doing for community college leaders that they are transitioning in these roles and are not staying, and why are they not staying? And are you playing a role? Let me switch as I move into the last few minutes here, the notion of extraordinary authenticity. And this means having the ability to be yourself even in the toughest situations. If you walk away with nothing else today, I ask you to think about this. Know yourself, know your capacity, grow yourself. Ask the question, what am I today and how can I be even better tomorrow? How can I survive so that I can thrive? How can I make a decision in whatever role that I am in so that people see me empowering them, empowering and supporting the situation, and not closing doors behind me? So, what am I today and how can I be even better is that I will close with just sharing with you. Today, I told you that I started with 2 letters behind my name. Today, I have 27 behind my name. And I'm not asking you to think about having 27 letters behind your name because it happened for different reasons. But I want to share this particular poem with you. And this is one of my releases. I talked about the whole notion of my primal scream. that was just because I wanted the staff to know that I was still around and that I still had levels of frustration, but I wasn't going to take it out on them, so I would just share it with the air. So this is a poem that I wrote, and this was in the early 2000s. It's called From Denial to Commitment. I live day by day in a crisis of change, or we live day by day in a crisis of change. We refute yet support the denial of reality. We exalt at the idea of being different, a diversity of existence. We develop maze ways to provide deceptions for our quest. We take the risk and conquer the challenge. We now have control. We seek the recognition, the commitment we ignore. We know the mission, we see the vision, but we lack the purpose. We strive to be multi-competent. Without it, we have little chance. We evolve from the pyramid to the circle. We thrive to enhance our participation and involvement, but fail to make a choice. We fake it until we make it. We are but like all the rest. In resistance, we listen. Have a great day, and I will take any questions you might have. Are there any questions?
So please feel free to unmute if you need to ask a question, or if you want to put it in the chat, that'd be great. Dr. Glasper, the first question is, what inspired this poem?
Whatever was happening that day, or whatever has been happening moving up to that particular point. And it's a release. Just like I said, it's just like a primal scream. It's just a release.
So when did you start poetry as that release? When did that begin in your journey?
And about 1990, well, it actually started in college, but in about 1992, relative to the situations I was in. And may I read another? That's
Got some head nods here. People are nodding. Yes, go right ahead.
This one is entitled "Stick It Out." As I reach the next level, I reaffirm my nearest goal. As I search within my past, I trust my future will unfold. As I seek a new beginning, I unleash the treacherous me, a constant redefining of what I am, who I am, and where I want to be. I envision a freedom flow of smiles, joy, sadness, and peace. I envision life worth living with comforts that never cease. Though reality I cannot ignore, the pains of daily strife, I move forward with a vengeance to make the best of my only life. To find my destiny, my beginning must never be in doubt. To accomplish what is mine, I have no choice but to stick it out. And that was when I was on my 20-year journey. So let me just also share that I graduated in 1974 from Luther College. In 1997, I was invited back to Luther College as a distinguished alumni. Part of my goal, after going back so many years, was to chase down this advisor and say, you were wrong. And it did not happen. It did not happen because I don't think I really wanted it to happen. But I don't believe that anyone should be driven to do something out of anger, out of someone belittling them, but they should move to do it because they should support you because it is the best for our society, And when we look around at what's happening now, we can see that individuals are challenged with, am I racist? Am I not racist? Do I have to be racist? And I will share this as I also lead. During my tenure at Maricopa, and it happens at the governance level as well, I had one board member who, for the complete term, decided that every day, or sometimes at least every week, that I would have something left in my office that would give me momentums of what they thought about in terms of me being a person of color in this position. Think about the photos that you have seen of Barack Obama and his ears and the cards. How would you like to have that left on your desk as the chancellor? How would you like to know that people believe that you are in the role because you're Black, not because of your ability to do the job? How do you stay in a job, work in a job, prove yourself, and your community not use the term? And I remember getting an Anti-Defamation League award from the Anti-Defamation League down at the Sheridan. Driving up in your family, looking at the signs that say, "Do not give Dr. Glasper this award because he's racist." Put that in the context of doing your job, the times, moving from 1974 to 2000 to 2010 to 2020, and ask yourself the question, is the notion of equity, diversion, and inclusion a thing of the past, or will it forever be with us in our future? And I would say it's the latter, and we need to figure out a way to deal with it and support our students. Is there a last question, Mike? Anything else?
So I know I see in the chat a question, your Stick It Out poem. Can we find it anywhere to save and read again? Is there anywhere they can find that poem that you?
Only place you can find it is with me. I don't. I don't share. I've shared my poems in 1990. Excuse me. In 1989, I was a Kellogg Fellow, and there were a group of us, and this was a league program. There were 20 of us from all around the country that spent a year as Kellogg Fellows, and it was diversifying leadership in community colleges. Out of 20 individuals from all over the country, I was the only one who professed that I would not want to be a CEO. I wanted to be the chief financial officer. And that's when I started actually sharing some of my poems with that group as we traveled around the country for a year. So that's the most that I've shared with anyone, but I can make it available to you, Mike.
Okay.
I have a question, Mike, if we have time.
Go right ahead. You have a couple minutes.
Hi, Dr. Glasper. My name is Nicole Neal. I'm engineering faculty at Chandler-Gilbert.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, and I was wondering if you could give us a 3-point prescription to design us for students design a process to that will help them get through challenging times or to persevere through their educational journey, especially when they begin to get antsy. So can you, off the top of your head, give us a 3-point, your top 3 points of how you would prescribe that to someone? What you would prescribe to someone?
Well, I guess if I was thinking about a prescription, is that this whole notion of being authentic is that you have to believe in yourself. you have to set a goal, and you have to believe in yourself, and you need to find someone that's not like you, to listen to you, to share your points. Uh, in order to find a path, individuals want someone who they think has a goal that they would like to possibly achieve and don't know how to get there. And so to connect with someone, to find out. Sam and I were talking about physical therapists earlier. I mean, if you have a desire to find a profession, and if you don't know anything about it, then see if we can talk to an advisor, talk to a counselor, talk to a family friend to kind of move along, and then be able to have what I would describe as some frequent contact. And frequent contact to me is probably, at least if you can do once a month, that would be great. A little bit more might be helpful to some individuals. There are individuals now, because of my role or whatever, that are asking me to just kind of help them as they look on their path. And I would also say, my outlet was writing it down. I think that if you write down where you encounter opposition, then you're able to articulate that to others when you're asking for assistance. Then they can think about what are the guideposts that could help you kind of move through that in the short term and the long term. And the last thing I would say is, throughout this entire journey, up and down, have fun. Have fun. I used to tell the Maricopa folks, if you ever saw me in the hall or anywhere and I didn't have a smile on my face, ask me why. However, if you do that, you must also be responsible for helping me to put the smile back on my face. And it would amaze you, and it amazed me, how many people would stop and ask me different things because they want to be supported. And they want you to know if they're having an issue. And they used to send me emails, and then I would respond, and then I get an email back that says, oh, I didn't think you were going to respond, or I didn't think you were going to call me. And I would say, then why did you send me the email? Or why did you call me? My goal was to respond to everyone within 24 hours, some way. So that's probably more than what you asked, but
That's a good question and a good answer. Thank you so much. We're at the end of our time, and I wanted to make sure that take the time to let people know to please click on that link that's in the chat so that you can get attendance credit for your co-curricular transcript. I do want to say thank you to Dr. Glasper. I really appreciate the presentation today. You are the key to success. Thank you for all of the attendees listening to and experiencing the virtual living library. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I have. I've learned a little bit. I hope that you get a chance to take away from the presentation a few words or nuggets. I will never forget the extraordinary authenticity. That's a good one. I like that. That's a great nugget there. So again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, Dr. Glasper, for volunteering your time. Appreciate you and your ability to speak to all of us here at the Virtual Living Library. So thank you.
thank you. Sure.